Okay, so hello and welcome. My name is Katie with ProNotary. We are a remote online notarization software. And today I have Andrew here. He is with Apex Notary Solutions. So he is a notary out in California, but I also wanted to highlight some of the efforts that he has been undertaking for those that are affected by the California fires. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, of course. So I wanted to dive right into one of the reasons why I asked you and the reasons why I kind of noticed your efforts and talk to me about what you're doing for the people that are affected by the California fires.
Yes, so thank you for that. And so, me and one of my fellow notaries, Monica Artiga, we decided to start what is called the Helping Hands Notary Network. And what that is basically an initiative of notaries, not just here in California, but from all around the United States, offering free and discounted notary services to those directly affected by the fires. So, that's whether they need help with insurance claims, because we know that's going to be a big thing after the fires, FEMA documents, FEMA applications, and then also if they lost documents in the fires, things like that, we're offering to notarize all those documents free of charge.
That's amazing. Because I wanted to kind of talk about something that I did when I was first starting out is that when there was a hurricane within my area, um, I also offered some of the notary services for like a good discount. And it really did open my eyes to a lot of the different notarization documents that need to be notarized. So can you highlight, you said something about insurance. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. So here in California, I'm not sure if it's different for each state, but in California, all of the insurance claims have to be notarized to verify that you are actually the person saying you are at that property.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
it's not just that same thing with the FEMA applications. All of those applications have to be notarized and yeah, you have to verify your identity.
that's okay. That makes sense. So have you had a lot of people that have been reaching out or like looking for notarial services?
So in regards to the fire, it has been coming in slowly because I know they put off for a while filing the insurance claims. So we
Mhm.
are expecting that to be like almost a year-long process with the different insurance companies coming in slowly over time.
Mhm.
The first thing that we see really getting requested from us is field inspections of the properties because we do offer that as well from different notaries that go. Maybe people are out of state or out of town or they can't go and physically see their property. So if they need pictures or stuff like that, that's also a service. I think
Okay.
that's the more like prominent one for now until the insurance claims start rolling in more.
Okay. And then so for notaries that are looking to work with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, so the best way, you can visit our website and the email is listed on there, or I'll just tell you the email. It's helpinghandsnotarynetwork@gmail.com.
Mhm.
Just email with us, let us know that you're interested, and then I'll send you the intake form for the volunteers and just go from there.
Okay. And then is that the same way that the homeowners or the people that are living within California would reach out to you as well, or is there a specific place that we should direct them as well?
Yes, definitely. Direct them to the website, or we have a hotline number as well. It's
Mhm.
909-938-4508. And basically, how the Helping Hands Notary Network operates is we get a call from a client, someone who was affected by the fire, and we have a list of almost 85 notaries now. So you call us, we kind of screen and filter out what services you need, what area you're in, and then we assign a notary to you based off your needs, whether you need remote online notarization or whatever type of service that you need.
Okay, so I wanted to also kind of delve into that as well, because you said something about in person and then the field inspections where people go out and physically look at the property, make sure that it's okay, see some of the damage. But then you also offer remote, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, perfect. And then how have you now? This is you working with other notaries that are also remote online notaries, right? Because I think a misconception is that for residents that are in California that they can't use remote, but it's just the notaries themselves that can't do remote, but they can still utilize the online aspect of it.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct. Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's a big misunderstanding here in California because as notaries, we can't perform the remote online notarization.
Hmm.
But for clients, they're more than able to get the remote online or notarization out of state, and it's still valid here in California. And
Okay.
that's really convenient. We have a lot of elderly clients that may need it, and they don't want either people in their home or it's just something that they prefer. So, yeah, that option is definitely available to people.
Okay. And so I wanted to delve in a little bit about your personal business because
Yeah,
that is also something that I'm always interested in. And you're actually, I think, the first California notary that I've ever
oh,
interviewed.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, tell me a little bit about like how long you've been a notary and then what made you decide to go into business as a notary.
Yeah. So I've I got my commission in August of last year, like August 2nd. So it
Mm-hmm.
hasn't been that long for me, but I was setting up my business prior to then. So around January of last year. So around this time of last year, I
Oh,
started
cool.
reaching out to people, letting them know, hey, I'm going to be getting my commission soon. Like,
Mhm.
is that something that you guys need? Because I wanted to see, like, is there even a need for this in my area and with the people and businesses that I'm already familiar with? Because I did work in the nonprofit industry before. So I
Oh,
was
okay.
kind of like familiar with stuff and I've needed notarizations before, but I just wanted to like start reaching out to people. And then once I saw there was like a real need for it, I was like, okay, this is something that I can facilitate. Excuse me. And yeah, it just really took off from there. I never expected to be where I am now from the time starting, but if you put the work into your notary business, the possibilities are endless. And people think like, oh, how am I going to make money if it you can only charge $15 a stamp? Like, I don't think a lot of people understand that there's so many different opportunities under the notary umbrella. And it's just from the time I started in August, I had my first notary journal full by the end of October. So
Well,
yeah, yeah,
that's that's amazing.
yeah. I mean, it's not a huge
Congratulations.
notary journal. It wasn't like 100-page one, but still, it was like it's just crazy the way business has picked up for me.
Hmm. So, I guess I don't know if you wanted me to ask this technical question, but for the California, when you do the notarizations, are you required to fill out the journal for like each act?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay. Because in Florida, like I don't know, I don't want to get into in Florida it's optional. So
Oh wow, I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Always follow your state guidelines and look this up yourself. But in general, there are some states that it's optional. So
Yeah, in California, we have to keep it in sequential order of each notarization that we take.
okay, interesting. Huh. So what made you get into the notary business at all? Like, why did you, I mean, I obviously advocate for it, but why did you choose becoming a notary?
Yeah, it's definitely something that my mom tried to push me into doing.
Hmm.
Before my mom's retired law enforcement. My mom and dad are both retired law enforcement. But before she did that, she was a notary for a little bit while she was going through the academy and everything. And she was like, I think you should really look into this. Like, it's something that's easy to make money off.
Hmm.
And even with her thinking, I think she was from the era where notarizations were very simple and they just were a certain thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, she had no idea even where my notary business would be. And I tell her about some of the stuff that I've been notarizing and stuff. She's like, wow, I didn't even know like those documents need notarization. So yeah, but yeah, she's definitely the one who put the idea in my head.
So, okay, it sounds like you do a lot of wide variety, like general notary work. Do you focus a lot on loan signing or is it mostly general notary work?
I
Or,
actually prefer general notary work over loan signing.
mhm,
Not only because it's so time consuming, the loan signing, but I just find that there's so many different ways you can get into general notary, especially here in California. There's the boating industry. Like I have a lot of clients at boat docks and stuff like that. So yeah,
yeah.
it's just such a wide variety. Because I feel like with the loan docs, when I do that for too long and I try to make that my head of my business, I get worn out very easily. And I'm like, okay, this is very overwhelming going over all these docs and stuff. So I definitely prefer the general notary. It's much more my speed.
Yeah, because for you, you can do. I'm always in a different mindset for the remote online because I usually don't typically do anything that is associated with the mortgage because they don't really like remote online notarization
Yeah.
all that much. But for loan signings, the documents can be anywhere between like when I first started out, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be easy. And then I got my first like 300 page thing. I was like, this
Yeah.
is a monstrosity. Um, but yeah, so you talked a little bit about boating, and I really like working with for yacht title transfers. Is that kind of what you do as well?
Yeah, definitely. Lot title transfers, ownerships, different things like that.
Hmm. And so, how do you do most of your marketing? Because it sounds like you have a wide variety. So how do people find you?
Yeah, mostly I do in-person marketing. I have a wife and son, so we're always out doing something. So if I know we're going to the beach that day, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna take these flyers right down here real quick before we go on our outing. Like, I'm very, very big on in-person marketing. In-person and digital marketing are like my top things.
Hmm.
Like, I never rely on the people just coming to me for the business. I mean, people can come through Google and stuff like that, but for me personally, I find that in-person marketing has the biggest return for me.
Yeah, I think that it has I mean, the least kind of learning curve. It does definitely take the most almost bravery
Yes.
to be like, hey, this is me. I'm like literally right in front of you and I can see
Yeah.
real time if you don't like me or not. Like it's like, so it can be very daunting, but you're right. I think that that's the highest return in general. Like I've been
Yeah.
thinking a lot about digital marketing and like everything that happened with TikTok. So if you're watching this later, like TikTok just got shut down and then returned. But I was thinking about all of the small businesses that could have been really affected by that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's scary.
yeah, well, I was like, okay, in-person marketing is almost bulletproof because you can always just go out with your business cards that you got for $40 from Canva and pass
Yeah.
them out. Um, but yeah, definitely I think that in person. Do you have any advice for someone that's like, I don't want to, or a mindset shift that you did that got you out of the, you know,
Yes.
out of your comfort zone?
Yeah. So I'm definitely that person that was like, oh God, I do not want to have to go talk to people. And like, I think as humans, we have that innate fear of rejection where we just don't want someone being like, I don't need that. Get away from me. And
Hmm.
like, that's going to happen sometimes. But the more you do it, I mean, it sounds so cliche, but honestly, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And
Hmm.
then now it's almost like fun to me. Like I still definitely have my days where I'm just not feeling it. And I'm like, all right, Andrew, we gotta pull it together. You gotta do this because your business is counting on you. But most days I honestly feel like it's exciting to go network with people. Like I like talking to people in my community. And sometimes it's not about, oh, I need a notary right then that day. It's just about making that connection, letting them know, hey, I'm here. I offer services A, B, and C. If you need them now, if you need them 10 months from now, if your family members need them, just letting them know. And the worst anyone can say is, what, I don't need that services. No, thank you. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I've never had like any type of terrible interaction. So it's always been, like, oh, I don't need someone right now or whatever. And then another thing, like you hit the nail on the head as far as like the return on it isn't going to be immediate. But for the most part, I think that being a notary is a long-term game because
yeah, definitely.
this is something that as long as you keep your commission, like you can do until, you can't stamp your stamp anymore or sign your name. So this is something that has a long-term investment by doing some of the groundwork now,
Yes,
which
definitely.
you can
And something I wanted to say too is I used to think, especially when I first started marketing, I mean, it's a little easier in California compared to some other states because there's so many people like everywhere. I live in Central California, so it's like
yeah.
everywhere. There's people everywhere, there's businesses and stuff. But I made a rule for myself, don't expect a client until you've reached out to 100 people. So if you've
Mhm.
reached out to 100 people, you're going to get at least one back. And when you have that like idea in your head, when you do get a client within those first 20, you're like, okay, like that's good. I wasn't even expecting that until 100. So don't set the expectation so hard for yourself where you're like, I'm going to reach out for 10 people and then at least 5 are going to call me back. Like, don't set the unrealistic expectations for yourself.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the same thing as me, that when I started doing it, and then it obviously didn't work when I started, advertising or like marketing my own business, and then it started working and I was like, that means that I have to do this more.
Yeah.
It's like I have to go out in person more. But yeah, so in person I think is one of the easiest ways to get a higher return when you're first starting out. And plus, like, especially if you don't have a lot of funds to start out with, I think that that would be I mean, it's free to just go walk around
Yeah,
different
literally.
places. And I do think that, and you do a really, really good job on this for social media marketing, because that's how we found each other.
Yeah.
Um, is to eventually start doing immersive marketing, where you do social media, you kind of can look into email marketing, and you know
Yes.
do cold calling, which is not as fun, but
Yeah.
it does work. So yeah, I think that that is some of the different ways that you can market. But yeah, in person I think is, uh, I've heard time and time again, like it's almost, uh some people shy away from it, but I think that it's needed for the business.
Yeah, definitely. I would never just depend only on like digital marketing. I feel like that
Mhm.
a lot of people think like, oh, I'll post about it on Instagram and people will find me. Not as many people find you as you think from Instagram. Even if you're using the right hashtags and stuff, you're posting what people you think that they want to hear. It's not
Mhm.
that. Digital marketing can take a while.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's definitely a long game, and then there's a lot of learning curve for when you are marketing and doing some of that stuff, because it's been like I've been consistently posting for 2 years. And it,
Nice.
yeah, and it has not always, I mean, the return, I feel like I'm still just kind of stumbling through it.
Yeah.
And it does work. Social media marketing does work for anyone out there. But it definitely does take a long time to get any type of like traction.
Yeah. And you have to find your what your thing is on social media. Like for some people, like me personally, I was posting videos at first more like professional type, and then I found like, oh, okay, if I'm doing like the dub voice videos and I'm making it a little funny, that's getting a little more attention than me trying to be like, hey guys, I'm a notary and this. Like, but that may be someone else's thing and that may work for them. They may be better at that than me. So you just it's with social media, I feel like, especially for marketing businesses, it's all about finding your specific voice and like what your space is on social media.
Yeah, it took me a while for me to even be comfortable about like posting my own like face on social
Yeah.
media. So, and I know that a lot of people kind of do that, but for anyone watching, if you are posting about your business, I think that it's important to do at least one headshot
Yeah.
for like a pinned post. So that way, like as a business owner or as someone that is trying to find a notary, like I would like to see who I'm going to have come to my house.
Yes, definitely.
It's just something that, like, you'll recognize them. They'll, what they look like. It's just something that's nice. So, yeah, definitely just take a picture and then put it on the pin post for your Instagram, and then just go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you said that you did nonprofit beforehand, and then now this is what you're delving into. I wanted to kind of dive into that as far as the different types of documents that need notarized for charitable organizations. Can you kind of highlight that?
So many. So like with me personally, my nonprofit dealt a lot with feeding the homeless in LA. So
Hmm.
anytime we were having an event and we needed a permit from the city to be there, anytime we were doing like we did a lot of events like on the boardwalk on Venice. We would have to get those things notarized. Like there's so many things. Like when you're getting big distribution deals from other nonprofits, you have to get those documents notarized. It's a lot of documents that need notarization.
Hmm. Okay. And so how do they usually take care of those notarizations? Do they have like someone on staff, or do they usually have a mobile notary come out, or how does that usually happen?
So before that, when I wasn't a notary, I would just Google whatever area I was in, like, okay, where's a notary? I need to hurry up and get this notarized. Or if I was working with another nonprofit, like, hey, do you guys know where I can get this notarized?
Mhm.
Sometimes they'll have someone on staff who just happens to be a notary and you can do it like that. Or other times I would just Google it.
Okay. And so now you said that you utilize and you have a lot of different things within your business, which I think is nice to round out, your
Yeah. I feel
services.
like that is essential. If you really want to like break through a certain monetary threshold within the notary industry, I feel like you have to have that diversification.
Yes, I think so too. I like diversifying. So, one of the things that I wanted to highlight and talk about for California notaries is that if you have people that are looking for remote online notarization, I know that you can't personally, but do you have a way around that, or do you have not a loophole, but do you have something that you would recommend to other California notaries or notaries that aren't available, like Ron isn't available within their state?
I always personally, I love collabing with other notaries. So I'm like, if I can't do it for you, hey, I know this person, we're friends. Would you like me to refer you to them? Actually, just recently, I have a cousin that lives in Arizona and she needs some wills and stuff like that taken care of. Refer
Mhm.
them to one of my Instagram notary friends. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
I know she's really professional about it. I know she'll take care of you guys. So yeah, I'm gonna give you guys their number. And they ended up connecting and making that happen. So I'm
Mhm.
all about the collaboration. And you never know. I've had notaries reach out to me who are in other states, like, oh, hey, they're in California. They need this done really quick. Can you help me out? Like, so yeah,
I do.
definitely network.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, we definitely. I also advocate for a collaboration because I did that. I don't remember. I think it was like a couple days ago, but I had a remote online notarization that was supposed to happen for someone that was in California. And for whatever reason, we were having various issues to try and get it notarized remotely. So I reached out to you and we tried to get it all set. But yeah, definitely I think that collaborating with other notaries, just so that way, um, like the California notaries don't miss out on the remote online notarization aspect of it, because like you still want to have your title companies or your law firms or anyone that's working with the notaries to be able to have those resources, and then like you want to keep that point of contact and then just refer to different notaries that do have Ron capabilities. So
Yeah,
that's the workaround is to be friends with the remote online notary, and kind of take care of it that way.
yeah.
Um,
And real quick, I feel like some notaries believe like, oh, but that's giving away business and stuff. I feel like we shouldn't look at it like that because you're still being a reliable resource for the person, even though you're referring them out to someone. They could still come back to you later, like, okay, maybe I do need something now in person that I can't get done remotely. And
mhm.
hey, you guys really helped me out when you referred me last time, so now I'm going to go to you. So it
Yeah.
may not be immediate, just like we were saying earlier with other things, but it's a long game with the notary. So always collab, collab, collab.
Well, yeah, because I had a client that could only do something in person, but they needed it to be done remotely. And it was like some weird thing. And I was like, you know what? I do know this specific state with this specific notary could do that. So I, referred my client out to them. And so it's not like I lost out on that deal or anything, like because she'll probably send stuff back. And
Yeah,
that law firm is like, okay, she wasn't able to help, but she still got it done. I'm still gonna
yeah,
reach out anytime. So definitely I was kind of under the same mindset where everybody was going to be super closed off and not want to help me whatsoever, but like just reach out to anyone and then
yeah,
most likely be like, yeah, let me talk to you about this and blah blah blah. Like, do you have like an hour? So yeah, definitely. And then you have some other things on your website that I wanted to you do fingerprinting as well, correct?
yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, a
And
lot of different things: fingerprinting, proctoring, field inspections, anything under the notary umbrella, I've dipped into.
so when you say proctoring, and I saw another notary that kind of was talking about that, does that mean that you host like SAT, like tests for students?
Yeah,
Okay. And how did you get it? Like, sorry for the side for the side conversation,
no,
but how
no,
did you
sorry.
get into that? Or like how did you? is that, do you need, tell me about it.
Yeah, so you don't need any extra training. Most of the time, they're looking for notaries specifically to do it, so that's great. But
Mhm.
just use software like ProctorU or Examity. I think ProctorU just changed its name to like Measure, Meazure Learning. But
Mhm.
yeah, there's a ton of online platforms that are looking for proctors for test taking. And basically, if you're doing the digital proctoring, which I prefer because you're literally just sitting in a Zoom like this, monitoring people. Yeah, the
What?
digital, yeah, it sounds like how you would monitoring them, but it's literally just like watching people on Zooms and stuff like that. And if they have like something where they're going off screen, it kind of like highlights a little circle around them, and you're like, hey, you're off the thing. You can't be doing that. It's really, really easy, especially with like things like ProctorU and Examity. Like it's so easy. Yeah. And then the same thing with the in-person proctoring. Like you just go market yourself to schools and different things
Mhm.
like that. Community colleges always need proctors.
Yeah.
And you're just literally sitting there just monitoring people. And that can pay anywhere from like here in California from like 25 to like 40 on the high end, but usually in that range per hour.
And then, okay, per hour, that's, I mean, that's not bad for just kind of
Yeah, we're literally
not,
just sitting there.
yeah, I was about to say, just sitting there. I was like, I don't know if there's anything else, but like anytime that I took like SATs or ACTs, that just, they just seemed like they were sitting there super bored. So yeah, that's interesting. How did you find out about that?
Yeah, honestly, I was using ChatGPT, like, what are some different things that I can do under the notary umbrella? And when that popped up, I was like, that seems like way too easy. So I was looking into it more and I was like, oh, it is that easy. Okay, so
Mhm.
let me do this. And yeah, that I love
Yeah.
proctoring.
Well, honestly, like I have that reaction, but I had the same reaction about remote online notarization because I was like, how does that work? And then I was like, oh, this is what I'm gonna make my whole life now. It's like,
Yeah, I can't
okay.
wait till we could do. I mean, I think they passed law here in California, but
They
it's not going to go
did.
into effect for like years. So
So, yeah, from what I was reading, from what I looked at, they have until 2030 to put like the guidelines in place.
yeah,
And so, like, anytime that anyone has that amount of window, they'll probably take it until like literally
the
January.
last minute. Yeah,
Like, so yeah, I mean, until then, I feel for you because this is obviously I like remote online notarization, but yeah, partnering with other notaries that do have RON
yeah,
capabilities is important, especially for any of the title companies or law firms that are starting to like in California that are starting to delve into that. If they reach out to California notaries, like ideally what I'd like everybody to do is say, oh yeah, I can do it, and then just partner with Iran. And then kind of work out some sort of deal, like if you wanted to do referrals or like buy the deal. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, just have that type of conversation, start collaborating with other notaries now, and then just kind of pick and choose what the different types of notaries that you would want to work with. Because obviously, one thing that I will say is that when you are working with other notaries or in general, make sure to lay the groundwork in the very beginning of how you want that type of relationship to look like. Because I know some notaries have it where, they just send the work out to the RON and then that's it. And I know that some notaries want the control of like, I'm talking, not, they don't say it exactly like this, but it's like, I'm talking to the title company. You're going to send all of the stuff to me. I'm going to send the work to you. You're going to do it, the notarization, and then send the documents right back to the notary that originated. So the California notary. And then the California notary is the only one basically that's talking to either the title company, the law firm, or whoever they're talking to, just to keep that relationship and then,
yeah,
kind of go from there. So establish that groundwork so that way you can have like continuing good relationships with any of the people that you work with because otherwise it can be uncomfortable conversations where it's like you send work to a client or to a notary and then they reach out directly to that title company. um
and they're like, why did you do that?
yeah, yeah, and for the most part it's just an oversight and like a communication error.
Yeah,
But it is something to kind of keep in mind because, you want to be professional, but then also you want to make sure that you're protecting your business and the relationship
yeah.
that you've already made. So yeah, so just try and be a good communicator and then everything works out. So
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
I've had to have a conversation where I'm like, I'm so sorry that I didn't tell you this, but like I should have, and this is what I expect going forward. So, yeah, um, just do that before.
Yes.
And then, okay, so for some of the other things that are going forward, is there anything that you think that, well, okay, are you, sorry, let me think of how I want to phrase this.
Yeah.
For marketing to people that are working with insurance, or like, do you market directly to the people that are affected by the fires, or are you marketing more towards the insurance adjusters or the insurance reps that are working with the California fire victims?
Predominantly the people that were affected, but we are doing a little bit of both, trying to reach out so we can like be on the same page with the insurance companies and stuff. Like, hey, we know we're going to have a lot of claims. We're here. We actually have been communicating with Matt Miller. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's the president of the League of Independent Notaries here in California. So he's
Oh.
actually been giving our website to lawmakers up in Sacramento and stuff like that. So we're trying to like, because the lawmakers are actually seeking notaries to like help with this because they know it's going to be like an influx of stuff coming up with all the fires and stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, I would say predominantly we're trying to interact with the victims and those that were affected, but we definitely want to be on the other side too, so that it's clear we can kind of be that connection in the middle for them.
Okay. And so another thing that I wanted to talk about and say is like, for the people that are looking to partner with you, or like on the fence of if they think that that's a good idea, I definitely advocate for doing volunteer work, or like doing things like this, because one, it helps for your knowledge base on looking over these documents, seeing what it looks like on the other side for when you are doing the in-person signings or doing the remote online notarization. I have continually volunteered my time, or like advocated for volunteering time for charitable organizations as a way to kind of get your foot in the door, and then also um, get familiar with the different types of documents, the different types of signers. So definitely 100%.
Yes.
If you're on the fence about it, I would reach out to Andrew right now.
Yes, please.
And then, volunteer to be on one of those lists, um, to be able to help the people that have been affected by these fires, or natural disasters, because especially even after the hurricanes, like what ends up happening for right now, what I've noticed after any of these hurricanes is that, let's say your house roof fell off, or not fell off, but say a hurricane took the roof off of your house, or
Yeah.
say your house was affected by a fire, the insurance won't necessarily process your claim until you do something called like a proof of loss. And correct me if I'm wrong for any of this. But for in general, like the homeowner has to sign what happened, like the amount of damage, whatever the form is that, like, let's say State Farm or Progressive or whatever the insurance is. Um,
Yes.
so it makes sense for them to try and get this done as fast as possible, just so that relief can come through. Because sometimes a finding a notary is what stands between them and then getting funds to be able to afford housing after that, or like get the funds released to be able to fix their house.
Yeah.
So it's like, finding a notary has a lot of different repercussions, and then also like rewards for these people. Like it represents a good amount of a waterfall effect after that has happened. So that's why it's important to get everything taken care of as quickly as possible. So I wanted to
Yeah.
thank you. I know that organizing things can be difficult.
Oh my gosh, yes. My emails have been just flooded. People have been contacting left and right, and I've just been like running my business and then also adding this in. I'm like, okay. At
Yeah.
first, the first few days, I was definitely overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, just take a breath. You just have to add this into your regular schedule. You wake up, you do your emails, you do your emails for the Helping Hands Notary Network. And I mean, thank God so many people are signing up. That's amazing. And I'm
Mhm.
grateful for that. So that's just what I keep telling myself, like, okay, just be grateful that you're able to help these people, and you just have to work it into your schedule.
Yeah. Well, also like as a side note, like my marketing brain is always like, um, is anyone that does sign up for that or anyone that is working directly with Andrew, I would also start making content about that. Because
Yeah,
then you can also it's almost like an easy thing to talk about or get picked up by the news or anything like that because it's almost like a feel good story where you're also helping the community and it's easy for you to kind of toot your own horn because it's such a good um
like a good
it's such a
cause.
yeah, it's such a good cause. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll talk about this. So definitely if you're thinking about it, I would recommend it. So
Yeah. And something I wanted to mention as well,
mhm,
let's say you're a notary and maybe you're not in a position where you want to fully volunteer your services free of charge. We
mhm,
also have an admin team that you can be a part of, and our admin team has been amazing. Along with me and Monica, they've been reaching out to people, sending out emails, getting us contact information of different organizations we can work with. Because we are trying to also plan like a mass notarization day where we can do like in-person notarizations at maybe one of the donation centers or shelters out in LA. So
mhm.
yeah, if that's something you're interested in or you have admin experience, that's also a way you can volunteer with the Helping Hands Notary Network and not just do the notarization services.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so that's amazing. And yeah, I admire that. So, is there anything else that you wanted to kind of go over or highlight that I didn't already?
No, honestly, you did amazing. I would just say if anyone's thinking about, even if you don't volunteer with the Helping Hands Notary Network, if you just want to offer your services to those affected by the fires,
Mhm,
because it's not just something, of course, we're doing it from our heart, and that is something that I would hope someone would do for me if the roles were reversed and I was the one affected. But
mhm,
also for beginning notaries or any notary really, people remember those actions and those can create like lifelong clients of yours. It's not just beneficial for them offering your services for free, but that when you help people when they're really in need, that really sticks with them. And I say this a lot when I'm doing like funeral home work and stuff like that. Like those people often become lifelong clients because you almost bond with each other during that time. And like hearing certain people's stories, like it's nice. Sometimes I'll just check on them, like, hey, I know we notarized something a few months ago. Just wanted to check on you, see how you're doing. Like, not every client, but like if we build that rapport with them, then it's like, yeah, that I just recommend volunteering your services in some type of way because that is very beneficial for your business in the long term.
I agree. Yeah, so I wanted to thank you for your time. Uh,
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And so then one final time, how do we find both your personal business and then also the helping hands?
Yes. So my personal business on every social media, Apex Notary Solutions, find me there. And the Helping Hands Notary Network, we have a website, helpinghandsnotarynetwork.com. And if you are someone affected by the fire, you can reach out through our hotline, which is area code 909-938-4508, or you can email us at helpinghandsnotarynetwork@gmail.com and just reach out to us. We'll assign a notary to you. We'll get it done quickly. So, yeah.